So a lot of people want us to talk about Nick Bosa. I'm over here quality control, concerned about Nick Bosa's availability for week 1 because he hasn't practiced at all, really. Anything meaningful this offseason. I asked Kyle Shanahan, I'm surprised someone didn't ask him already, but I asked him and he's like, yeah, as far as I know, he's going to play week 1. I think so. Hasn't had any setbacks, looks good. I think so. So that was good news. But deep down, I don't really think Kyle knows, and I don't think it's up to him. How do you read the situation?
I'm a little bit worried, and I'm not worried per se about Nick Bosa, whether he's going to be really good this year. I think he will, just the way he takes care of his body and how committed he is to playing football clearly and how good
Yeah.
he's been whenever he's played in his life. I'm just worried about the week 1 in particular solely because he hasn't done the one-on-ones or the 11-on-11s at all during
Right.
practice. And the reason I touch on this is because one of Kyle Shanahan's reasonings this year was that a lot of their guys didn't play enough football. But if you remember, they shut down Nick Bosa very early in training camp last year. I think he went maybe 4 days with pads. There were 2 days where him and Trent Williams one-on-ones was real big, real heralded. And then he kind of just started getting maintenance days because of soreness, if you remember. And they just kind of took it easy with him throughout camp. And then Kyle Shanahan's reasoning for the injuries. Obviously, Nick Bosa's injury was a freak injury. It's difficult. His foot got caught in the turf and he couldn't disengage from, I think it was Becton who he was engaged. No, it was a tight end, right?
Yeah.
He was engaged with the tight end. He couldn't disengage. He fell over his knee. Really unfortunate situation. But one of Shanahan's reasonings was that these guys didn't get enough reps playing football last year. Well, how can you have Nick Bosa come in and immediately play what's required him to play, 45 snaps week 1 when he hasn't practiced at all? So I am a little worried from that standpoint. Maybe they do play Nick Bosa week 1, but maybe he doesn't start. Maybe him and D Ford are both on pitch counts. I could see that being a scenario. But I'm definitely worried about Nick Bosa playing week 1 and playing 45 snaps. And if he does do that, I am worried about Nick Bosa being able to make it through the season just based on what Shanahan's said and the reasonings he's provided for the injuries.
It's interesting that this is a guy that the Niners, I think, hope and envision as a cornerstone player. I think fans look at him as that as well. I think they see him as one of the best players in the league. And he's, this is year 3. After this season, he'll be eligible for an extension. But he still hasn't really played a training camp yet. He had a few practices his rookie year and had a serious high ankle sprain. Serious. Last year, he didn't play much, and you saw what happened to him. I'm not saying that he got hurt week 2 because he didn't practice much in training camp. But as you pointed out, Kyle Shanahan really has mentioned that if you don't practice much in training camp, you're at a higher risk to get injured the first 4 weeks of the season. And that, bared itself out last year to a degree. I guess that's something to keep in mind now.
Yeah. I mean, and also for him, I wonder if I'm Nick Bosa personally, and I'm speculating here, and it's not like speculation about something. I'm just saying if I'm Nick Bosa and I know the gravity of the fact that I've had 2 serious injuries in the last 3 years. When you go back to his core muscle injury, his junior year of college, then he was healthy his rookie season, though he had the high ankle sprain and the hamstring tweak in the off season of that rookie season. And then the ACL last year. And I know that if Nick Bosa makes it through next year and is Nick Bosa, there's going to be $100+ million extension for Nick Bosa waiting on the table. That's pretty much guaranteed. And if I know that's $100 million is on the line, I'm certainly not putting myself personally out there and risking anything until I am 100% healthy. And you can see that Saquon Barkley is seemingly following that same route, as he's come out and said that he's not going to play week 1, and they're saying week 3 for Saquon Barkley.
That's what put this whole thing in my head. When I heard that, I was like, oh, well, why wouldn't Bosa do the same thing?
So yeah. If you're Nick Bosa, it's not wrong. It's the right thing to do if you're Nick Bosa, in my opinion, personally.
And if that's what's going to happen, they're not going to tell us now. I mean, unless Bosa comes out and says it on his own, they're not going to tell us now. And I'm sure they don't want him to do that.
I doubt Bosa's even thinking about that right now. But I think if it gets closer and closer, But I maybe that happens. I don't know. I don't know how he's thinking, to be honest. The one thing I'm wondering is, even if he plays week one, what will it be like? Because I think if he does play week one, I think you will. I think a pitch count on Nick Bosa sounds more likely than not. But my issue with the pitch count on Nick Bosa is who's going to play at the edge, because it looks like Eric Armstead has an arm groin problem. That's no big deal, but it's kept him out, what, 3 straight practices. And
See if he's back
so,
tomorrow. I don't expect he will
right,
be.
and a groin is a tough injury to manage, and so that's another big time player that's battling something. And then Samson Ebukam has been sore for quite a while now, so that's another edge player managing something. And then of course D Ford is Grant. Kyle Shanahan himself has said that if he gets something out of D Ford, it'll be a pleasant surprise this season, but he's not going to be overly optimistic about it because of what D Ford's managing. So then I question what's even going to happen on the edge. Maybe our man who said Arden Key. Maybe Arden Key is starting week one for the 49ers against the Lions.